All right, this is going to be my review of last night's feature presentation, The Gift, 1977. This is probably the first review of The Gift on YouTube, and here it is. So this is the DVD that it comes on, Cypher in the Snow, 5 LDS, I know it's backwards, 5 LDS Classics, 5 LDS Film Classics on DVD. There's 5 here, Cypher in the Snow, The Gift, The Phone Call, the Emmitt Smith story, that's not the former Cowboy running back, and John Baker's Last Rage. I've seen all of them, and a few of them are pretty good. A couple of them are not very good, but this is what it comes on. The Gift, 1977, is directed by Douglas G. Johnson, who also directed The Phone Call, and he directed John Baker's Last Race, which are both on here. It's written by a woman named Pearl S. Buck, who wrote some other things. Real old lady at the time of the writing of this. Did a really good job of writing. The film stars there's 7 credited people in this, and there are 7 total people in this, so they're all credited. The main 2 characters are the father and the son. The father's name is James Griffith, or his name is Tav in the movie. I don't think he has ever even, that name Tav is even mentioned ever, but he's played by James Griffith, who is the most accomplished actor in this whole cast. James Griffith was just in numerous movies and I think some TV shows as well. I'm not going to look up his thing, but he's kind of a face you might recognize, but he is in, one thing I remember him in that I realized last year he was in, there's another Christmas one that I'll hope maybe be watching soon, is the Dragnet episode, Little Big Jesus. He's one of the people who's interrogated, who's a red herring, and that's him, and he's in the earlier, there's 2 versions of that. He's in the 1950, I think 55 version of that, maybe before that. So it was a lot younger in that one. And so he's kind of older in this. He's kind of an older looking dad for little children, having 4 little children. The son is played by Brett Palmer. So Brett Palmer is Samuel, the son. Now Brett Palmer was in a few films that I've seen. A couple of them are like these family feature films. The one that I watched the most is called In Your Wildest Dreams, where he's the bad guy. He plays a character called Justin Maddox. He's really good in it, and it's 1991, so he's much older. In this film, I don't know Brett Palmer's age. I'm gonna guess he's about 12 or 13 in this movie. Could be even younger, but this is his debut film. Now, according to IMDb, he's also in Snow Beast from the same year, 1977, as John, I think. Now, I entered this into IMDb because I saw him in this movie uncredited, and I'm pretty sure it's him, but IMDb agrees with me. So his name is in the listing. I'm not 100% sure it's really him, but he is listed as being in Snow Beast, uncredited. A tiny role in that film. So you watch this film, The Gift, and you see a lot of promise in Brett Palmer. This is one of the names I give Brett from Wire Club, nickname Brett Palmer. And there's a lot of promise. He's got a great face. He's a good actor, and it's curious to me why he barely did anything else after this. And he was really, when he got older in Your Wildest Dreams, he was very impressive in that too. I thought he could have maybe gotten something on the big screen. He was in something called, I think, Tight Wire, maybe, but I've never seen it. But really tiny roles, like, pretty much disappeared from acting after like maybe the mid 1990s, and sometimes I just wonder, like, where's Brett Palmer these days? So if you're watching this, Brett Palmer, let me know. down in the comments. I'm like one of your big fans, so appreciate your work. What was it like filming the gift and everything? I would go nuts if you found this and like posted something below. But all right, so you have James Griffith, Brett Palmer, who, again, this is a Latter-day Saints film, and I don't think neither of those actors that really had any kind of Mormon connection. I'm pretty sure they didn't, but I could be wrong. The mother in this, I think, is played by Joy Sansom. She plays someone named Laura Jean. I'd have to watch this. I've watched it many times, but I've never really catch her name in the movie. Maybe they don't say it. Laura Jean is played by Joy Sansom. I'm pretty sure that is the mother in this. Okay. Now there's the one boy played by Brett Palmer, and then there's 3 girls. So the oldest girl I'm pretty sure is played by Debbie Van Orden. I'm pretty sure that's the oldest girl. Mary Jean is her name. Now, I'm pretty sure it's her because I see she has one other credit called Seven Alone from 3 years earlier, 1974. Is like a frontier family traveling, and it looks kind of interesting. It's a full-length film, 1 minute. Dang it, 1 hour, 37 minutes. It's got Dewey Martin. It's got James Griffith as well. And it has Aldo Ray from Bog, 1979, which is awesome. Makes me want to watch it. Seven Alone is the name of that film. So she's in that, and I think it's her. I think this is Debbie Van Orden because the picture on the cover for Seven Alone has this like little blonde girl, and I'm pretty sure it's the same one that's in The Gift. She's the oldest blonde. I think she's supposed to be. It's hard to say. She's supposed to be maybe a year older or maybe a year younger than Samuel, Brett Palmer's character. It's hard to tell. They look very similar in age, maybe twins. The other 2 girls are younger. One is Jean Nuttall, but is the actress. She was in nothing else. Plays Carol Ann, and then the other one, Julia Warner, plays Berta. So I'm pretty sure those are the 2 girls. But you know, it could be that Berta is the wife, is the mother, and then Laura Jean and Mary Jean are two of the 3 girls. So I could have that mixed up. Joy Sansom, there's no information on her. Julia Warner, no information on her. Neither of them were in any other films. That's why it's kind of puzzling. Okay, so you have this family of 6. It's a big family, 4 kids. And you have one other actor is Francis L. Urey. It's a man. Plays the part of Jason. He's like he's the guy who comes by in the truck and picks up their milk, I think. They live on a farm. So Francis Urey did have some film credits. So he was in some, I think he was definitely a Mormon himself. He was in several Mormon films like Uncle Ben, Johnny Lingo, etc. I watched those 2 just recently, Uncle Ben and Johnny Lingo. Okay, so the film starts off with, that's all for the cast. So I think that there's one other man that's like mentioned, but you don't see him. So the man mentioned, it's at the breakfast table, but he's not. You don't see him in the film. So it starts off in a farmhouse, and it starts off with this great shot of a painting of a farmhouse with like a snow in front of it. I love the painting, and it says The Gift in this nice block, kind of cool yellow font, and with this music playing. And I really like the shot. It really introduces the film well, gives it a winter feel. Then we go into the house, into the farmhouse. There's a boy sleeping. It's Brett Palmer, and then the dad comes in and says, "Wake up! It's 4 a.m." So they live on the farm, and they have to get up early every single day to do these chores. Even though he's like 12 years old, he has to get up every single day and do these. Go out to a barn and do chores, and he's reluctant about getting up. And his father, explains to him this has to be done. And so we're introduced to these two characters, the little boy and the father, and you kind of get a quick glimpse of their relationship together. He gets the boy up every morning, and they work together in the barn for a couple of hours, getting things before breakfast, getting things ready. So then you go to, he's explaining to him that this is a necessity, that you can't just sleep. So they go into the barn, and you see some animals, mostly cows and chickens, and there's a lot of, they're getting eggs together, but there's also the milk thing is really interesting to watch. They really have this detailed where the Samuel, the boy, is pouring, taking all the steps, milking the cows and pouring it, and whatever they call it, like straining out the fat and putting it into a big drum, because they sell the milk, and it's very time consuming. And you have the dad coming in, and he sees him and he scolds him about dropping some of the milk on the barn instead of in the big jug, and says, "Careful, Sam, that's money you're pouring out there on the ground." So again, we're kind of getting a good look at their relationship together, and it's dark and it's really early in the morning. They go back in the house, and this is I love this scene, because this is where we meet the wife. I'm not sure what her name is or what her actress name is, but you meet the wife, the mother, who's making this breakfast. This all takes place in the early 30s. Okay, or probably early 30s. And you have this this kind of old stove, and there's big pieces of pork, big ham pieces, eggs. There's a loaf of bread on the table, and it's cut about halfway in slices. So I really like that scene. She's serving them the breakfast, and I think, she says to him, she says to her husband, "We're running low on the ham. When is this man they know coming to slaughter another hog?" That's the man that is not shown in the movie, but it's someone they know. And the dad says, he can't come until after the holidays. So we're clued in that this is a Christmas. It's close to Christmas, and so that's their first clue of it. Other than we see it's cold, but and he says, she says, "Well, I guess we can manage." Then we go to, then we have the dad talking to the mom at the table about his hopes for his son, and his son is right there. Wanting him to getting him up early so that he can one day do it for himself, kind of thing. The boy goes upstairs, I guess, to get ready for school, and then his mother follows him upstairs and has a little talk with him about how, your father really loves you. There's different ways of showing it through our words. And this is the first, and really one of the only kind of Mormon moments we have. There's just this feel of, sometimes in these movies. Other than this, this doesn't feel like a Latter-day Saints film, but it's sort of this moral lesson that comes through, and the way she does it, and the close-up of her face. But this is just based on seeing other LDS films. I'm not generalizing here, but there's she explains that to him about you can show love through our actions, And then the second clue to this is a Christmas film is that he's pondering a gift idea, and especially for his dad. He wants to get his dad something really good, like taking off on her what she said to him about showing love through your actions. He says, buying a present or getting a present for Christmas, and she says yes, and he's trying to figure out something that would be perfect to get for his dad that would, that would be that special. And she says, well, you have to figure that out for yourself. And that's the end of the scene. It's a nice little scene up in his room. We cut to him in a Sears catalog, so he's doing something practical. He's looking in I don't know if it's a Sears catalog, but it's one of these old 1920s, 30s catalogs that people used back then, probably Sears, Roebuck, and he's looking at, the first thing we see him looking at are ties for like 39 cents. And then we get and he's trying to get an idea. And then we're introduced to the sisters. So two of his sisters come in, the two younger ones, the ones that are much younger than him, and they're looking, and they want to look at the dolls in the catalog, and they say, "Turn it back to the dolls." And there's a little scuffle, like, "You always want to look at the stupid dolls." And I think they grab the catalog and run off or something. But we get an introduction to the two of the three sisters, and then the older sister comes in. Again, I don't know if she's right at his age or a little older, but then the older one comes in and talks to him, a little more mature talk. Have you figured out all your gifts yet? And he says, all but one. She says, me? He goes, no, Dad. So he's still trying to figure it out. We see him next outside wood chopping with his dad. So I guess this is after school. We just see him come home from school one day. I think maybe it's Christmas Eve, and he's got a little package, and we think this is going to be, maybe he found something on the way home at a little market or something, and it looks like maybe a tie box. And so we're like, all right, that's good. So he has kind of this tender moment when he's wood chopping with his father, and this is kind of important because it shows that it's not all kind of a business relationship with his son. After they're chopping the wood, and it's during the daytime, and it's snowing, and it's this great scene. And he puts his arm around his son, and he's like, he's pointing up at you can kind of see a star or something. He's like, talks about the Star of Bethlehem. And it's kind of a good moment where he takes a little break with his son. The man named Jason shows up shortly after that to get the milk, to get their drums of milk. And so he has this big truck or something, and they're hauling it onto the truck. That's kind of part of their, they're selling the milk. And then they mention something about money, and the man Jason says there's not a whole lot of that going around these days. And then the dad, played by James Griffith, says, well, better days are ahead. And that's our first clue that this movie was set in the Depression. So we do see that there's like really no electricity in the house and stuff. It's real old looking, but in the farmhouse. But this is where we see, okay, this is most likely Depression era. And so then we cut to the Christmas Eve, and this might be the day where he comes in with the gift, and with coming home from school. I guess they walk to school. And then it's Christmas Eve, and they're in the little living room at the tree, and it's really dark in the room, the whole family. And the dad is reading the Christmas story. So that could be kind of a little bit of an LDS type of moment there. But after he finishes reading the Christmas story from Luke 2, he says, well, this proves that a lot of great things can happen. And he looks at his son and says, even in a barn. And that might kind of trigger something in his son's head of like an idea. So that night, the kid sets his alarm clock really early. He's restless the night, and then he wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, has his alarm go off at 2 o'clock in the morning, I think it is. They usually get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And he gets up and he goes out by himself to the barn and does all of the chores, like two man's work, all by himself, because he's learned how to do everything. He knows what needs to be done. It's a lot harder, but he does everything, he prepares everything, and then you can see he comes out of the barn. He looks up at the house, and of course it's still dark outside. It's getting close to 4 a.m. and he sees a light come on, like in his dad's room. So he hustles back and he sneaks up the stairs, gets into his bed, pretends to be sleeping, and shortly after that, his dad comes in like he does every morning and says, "Sam, it's time to wake up. 4 o'clock. I know it's Christmas, but we still have to do all the chores." You go, "Oh, Dad," and then the dad says, "Don't be too late." And the dad goes down to the barn. You see Brett Palmer in his bed, kind of have this real mischievous smirk on his face, like he's real proud of what he's done. And then he goes downstairs, and his dad comes back in after he realizes what his son has done for him, and that is a great interaction with those two at the door, where his dad, who is not emotional at all, he has trouble saying things like that, as his mother said, things like expressing his love for his son, but he kind of gets choked up a little bit, and it's really good acting because it's not like it's just a little bit, but it's not the kind of thing where it's forced or unnatural, like trying to get the point across too much. But he explains to his son that he's never seen the kids get up on Christmas Day. He goes, "I was always in the barn." And so he's on this day, he gets the gift of not so much having everything in the barn, the work done, but he gets to see his family come down the stairs with the joy on their faces, and then come to the tree and like get their presents. And he's like, "I'll remember this as long as I live, son." He thanks him like a couple of times, maybe 3 times. And it's a great gift that he gives his father. And that's pretty much where it ends, and then it just pans back to maybe that picture of the farmhouse. But this is a great film that shows, like, it's a great look at like Depression living, and despite the fact that it's set in the Depression, it has kind of an uplifting feel to it, and there's like a lot of good spirit to it. All of that I just told you, that plot takes the course of that is 14 minutes. So it's a short film. There's a lot that happens in it, and I kind of wish that it had been strung out to like maybe 35 minutes. I think they could have maybe added a little bit more to it, but it's great for what it is, for the limited time that it is. So I like Sam's room. It's really good. Now, he had 3 sisters, but he has like a private room, it looks like. So that's kind of cool. I love the food scene, the ham, the eggs, the bread. It's really good. I like the snow. There's all this snow, and it's really it's deep snow too. It's really good. It's a great adds to the atmosphere. The Christmas Eve feel is excellent in the living room, and it's in the early Christmas morning atmosphere of you see the little kids running down, and the toys aren't wrapped. That's another interesting thing that I noticed. You see like a little doll and a little bear maybe, and some little miniature rocking chair, and they didn't really wrap toys, I guess, in those days, but it kind of gives you a sense of what things were like on Christmas Day, like back in the early 30s. You have the Latter-day Saints feel is not really here. You could watch this and not know that it's a Brigham Young presented film. It doesn't really have even a Christian film feel to it either. It feels more like just a family film with some good messages. So The Gift, 1977, last night's feature presentation. James Griffith, Brett Palmer were the 2 main actors, and I've mentioned the other ones, the other 5, but really a good film to check out. This is pretty. This is an interesting DVD, but it's free on YouTube. The Gift, 1977. If you have 14 minutes to spare, maybe watch it, sometime before Christmas Fest ends. Check it out. All right, guys, that's my review of The Gift, 1977. Brett Palmer. If you're watching, make sure to post something in the comments section. You were a great actor, all right, and maybe you still are. Maybe you're still doing something acting wise. All right, thanks for watching, guys. This review was over 10 minutes longer than the actual film.